Hello, hello, hello. This is Cabin. It's 12:34 at night, and I am going to read from my friend JC's book that she is writing about New Orleans and love and all that sort of business. She doesn't have a title on it yet, but I am going to call it New Orleans right now. And I'm going to start with paragraph 3. I'm only reading a few paragraphs, a page, maybe a page of the book, just so she can hear what it sounds like. And also to help me reading. All right, here we go. Paragraph 3 from New Orleans. When I got an email from a former colleague telling me that my old boss had cancer, I knew I had to go back. A quick decision, but nevertheless one I struggled with. A mother of 2 teenagers, I was a school teacher and a wife with responsibilities. So it was with both misgiving and conviction that I told my husband I had to go and visit New Orleans over my spring break. I knew it was the right thing to do, and I also knew my husband, who had hated New Orleans, wouldn't be at all excited. David was also a private school teacher from way back, and he had all the papers to go with the job. PhD, master's, teaching certificates from all over the country, and enough administrative positions to fill 2 or 3 dossiers. A true product of the 60s, David really did want to save the world. It was true. He was, and always had been, a formidable teacher. Students both feared him and revered him, for he brooked no nonsense, throwing kids out of class right and left until they shaped up or shipped out. But, liberal do-gooder of the 60s though he was, he still referred to Schwartzes in private, cursing their narcissism. He still really loved the fact that he never had to do his own laundry, run the vacuum cleaner, or think about bathing a child. And he couldn't for the life of him understand why Mr. Montgomery and I still corresponded for so many years after we left New Orleans. Certainly he couldn't have suspected illicit dalliances. I wasn't that type of girl. So it was with considerable temerity that I approached my husband the same day I received the email. Yet it was minus the information about Mr. Montgomery that I went to speak with David, worrying that he would minimize my need to visit this man who had been, and in fact still was, a giant in my life. David, the kids still haven't said goodbye to New Orleans since the hurricane, and I was thinking about taking them during spring break, just to give them some closure. It might be good for both of them. Both of them? Well, what would you do? Drive? Where would you stay? With that Patterson fellow? Yeah, they'd both like to go. We'd probably stay with Jean for a few days or something. I didn't dare suggest that we go visit his 90-year-old... I didn't dare suggest that he go visit his 90-year-old mother at the same time. Separate vacations were not our style, and I didn't want to tip the delicate decision-making balance in the wrong direction. And so it was that at the crack of dawn, one mid-March morning, I pulled out of the driveway of our rented Miami home with 2 comatose teenagers in my blue VW. I am really not heartless or cold. I felt both guilt and sadness at leaving my husband of 19 years behind at the same time that I knew New Orleans was beckoning only me. And it wasn't, after all, as if I was asking for a divorce. I love the feel of setting. I love the feel of setting out on a car trip before the sun has come up, when the cool wind from the window helps you shiver with excitement. The thought that most creatures aren't out, that only you are sneaking around, is irreplaceable. And as I drove north that morning on I-95, the childhood feeling of happy anticipation settled in. That's it for now. Paragraphs 3 through 9 of the book, JC's book, that I lovingly call New Orleans. Have a good night.